Ghastly Gospels is in association with Blurred.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ghastly Gospels, where evil is never far behind. So, last week we talked about those unsolved cases. This week, kind of wanted to get into something fun but creepy, and well, I don't know. It depends on if you're afraid of the water.
Jesus Christ.
uh, because if you're afraid of the water, you may need to take a Dramamine. Oh no. But this week we are going to be talking about cryptids or, those extinct slash mythical creatures that if you've ever seen Secret Saturdays on Cartoon Network, they were on there too. But before we begin, you already know I am Dr. Kaori Knight here with Captain Diesel.
Captain Diesel, it is I, the captain of the dojo.
How did you feel about last episode?
It was fun. I had a lot of fun. I think going through cold cases or like unsolved murders is like something I've always had an interest in. I think we all watched like Cold File. Was it Cold Case Files, the name of the show?
Cold
A
case
while
file,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, and shows like that where you just get to see things. Well, at least I think ours where it all came to a happy ending, or an ending at least, where the cases were
Hmm.
solved at some point. But it's always interesting to see how those things go unsolved for a long time and how 90% of the time it's just incompetence.
Yeah, true. Um, I enjoyed the last one. Getting more into detail about the, especially uh, Kendrick Johnson.
hmm That one fucked me up because again,
Um,
I was personally
yeah,
like tied to that one to some extent.
yeah. So, getting into more detail about them because I had heard about it and I was following the case, and like when they had opened it back up, I was definitely paying attention when they determined that there wasn't anything, and I'm just like, are we sure? Like, did y'all look? So but I am excited for this one. Cryptids are some of my like favorite things to look up next to lost cities. So if you don't really know what a cryptid is, again, cryptids are like those extinct or mythical creatures. So things like the Jersey Devil or Yeti or Bigfoot, things like that are considered cryptids. And again, I know a lot of people get their cryptid knowledge from Secret Saturdays. If you ever watch Secret Saturdays, they literally go into detail about the creatures that they are like not necessarily hunting, but like doing research on slash hunting. So that one was really fun. Have you seen Secret Saturdays?
Have I seen Secret Saturdays? That was one of my favorite show. Like that own like late 2000s, early 2010s era of Cartoon Network where you're watching Secret Saturdays, My Symbiotic Titan, or I think it was
Hmm.
just Symbiotic Titan,
Symbiotic Titan, yeah.
Generator Rex, like those shows. I love those series because they felt very similar to like the Justice League, the animated series. They were like adult
Hmm.
oriented in regards to like storytelling, but they're still, you know, you know, kid like and whimsical to an extent.
Hmm. Yep. Whenever it came on, I was so excited. So I'm actually really excited about this because um, of the ones that we picked. So you can go first.
Yeah. We're gonna start by diving in the deep end, pun intended. um, for people that do not know me or have not heard me speak on this at all, this may be the first time I'm speaking on this fear here, actually, because I don't think I've talked about it on Then and Now nor my own personal channel. I have a terrifying fear of the ocean. And
Mhm.
not just the water, not in the ways you would think. Like me drowning, I can't swim. So, the drowning fear is there still, it's there, but it's what lies beneath the surface that terrifies me, people. For people that are not aware, we have not explored 100% depth of the ocean. I think what we've only explored, was it like 30%, 40% of the ocean or something like of the sort? It's like a really
I
crazy
want
low
to say
number.
it's like 27 to 32% or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, crazy low percentage for the amount of time we've been on this earth and the type of technology we have where we can like deep dive into the ocean and touch the ocean floor with things like things like submarines and of the sort. But there being things like the Mariana Trench that are so deep we can't get down there, and there are fish that you like when people deep sea fish, they'll find fish from super far deep under the ocean that look like general monsters or fish that have teeth like
Mhm.
human teeth. It looks like those things terrify me. But there is not anything else in the ocean that terrifies me like the Kraken. And for a lot of people that somewhat are familiar with the name of the Kraken, because again, if you like pirates to any extent, you probably heard the Kraken or heard or seen it in depicted in multiple different iterations of pirate lore. If you have watched the Pirates of the Caribbean movie franchise, you'll have seen the Kraken make an appearance in the Dead Man's Chest movie in the second one, as well as making another appearance. Well, no, I think they killed the Kraken at the
Yeah,
end
they killed
of
it.
the second one. Yeah. But the appearance the Kraken makes in the Dead Man's Chest movie was terrifying to me as a child. For people that aren't aware, the stories of the Kraken can be traced as far back as like 1200 AD. However, other sea monster stories that don't specifically name the Kraken can usually be traced further back to the Kraken to some extent. The Kraken like traces back to Norwegian folklore from like years and years and years ago in like Greenland, by sailors that would always claim to see this big squid in the ocean that would capsize ships or eat crew or eat the crew and the captain and things of that nature. It's been a thing for a very long time. You've seen different like photos where people have found ships in more of a modern day aspect of maybe well let's say modern day, but this is probably more like the
Mhm.
18 to the late 1800s, maybe like early 1900s, where people will find ships with huge suction marks on the side of it, like massive
Mhm.
ones. So there've been like little bits and pieces of like evidence over the many, many hundreds of years of the existence of the Kraken. Now, it is my belief that there is a Kraken. I do believe there is like a kaiju type of situation of a squid hiding below the surface. I believe that there's not just one, but multiple. Because I think this thing needs to procreate to have multiple Krakens kind of swimming around the bottom of the ocean at a certain point in time. But these things are terrifying for the factor of when I'm in the ocean, I already have to worry about drowning. I already have to worry about things like sharks potentially eating me. But now you're telling me I can stay on the ship and not be safe because I have to worry about this gigantic kaiju squid potentially eating me alive. No. Um, Even regular squids terrify me. I don't know if anybody I don't know if have you eaten like live squid? No, not calamari, but like live squid.
Yes.
Like the fact
Like
that
when
I
they dip
can
the sauce on it and it moves.
yes, the fact I can cut this limb off of this thing and it can still move, or I can eat it and it can like, if you try to people try to swallow it like dumbasses and it will like expand in your throat and like kill you. Like this thing will fight back until the end of it. So imagine what that thing times 2,000 in size can do. A gigantic kaiju monster. So again, the Kraken terrifies me. According to most legends, the Kraken lives in the deepest parts of the ocean, obviously. So it is my belief that the Mariana Trench has a Kraken. It has some kind of kaiju in the bottom of it. That if we go down there, we're gonna wake some shit up and it's gonna be done with our bullshit and it's gonna pop back up and try to fuck us up. So again, please stay out of the fucking Mariana Trench. But again, it lives in the deepest parts of the ocean. When ships pass by on the surface, the Kraken, through lore, will attack and drag an entire vessel underneath the waves. It was believed that the Kraken would then devour the ship, the crew, or both. And the Kraken attacks were once used to explain the disappearances of ships and crews on long sea voyages. So again, how much of that is the actual Kraken? How much of that is just drunk pirates or drunk seamen, uh,
You're
lo- losing ships and losing men and kind of having some form of tall tale to explain it. I don't know because the Kraken, as well as a few other monsters that live deep in the ocean, have been depicted as existing. Like one, I think Kaori's going to get into later on that I won't spoil for you guys, but the Kraken for me is the most terrifying thing you could possibly look and see. And again, I think the depiction of it in the Pirates movie, like, was what I really imagined. Like this gigantic thing that just is going to perpetually grab your ship and like like there's in the end of the first and in the second movie you see it like slow crawl and like destroy the ship.
Mhm.
But then there are other
And
moments
then
where
at
like you
the
just
beginning of the 3rd movie, it's, like, dead on the beach. It's
yeah.
huge.
In the beginning of the second movie, like you see it come out and you see just like snatch a ship down immediately. Something like it has potential to make your death slow and agonizing and terrify you, or it can legit just like snatch your ship to the bottom of the ocean in an instant. That's why motherfuckers like Davy Jones also scare me because I'm like, yes, fishmen, squidmen, yeah, squids are a animal on this planet that I 100% feel are alien. I don't believe they originated on this planet. I feel like they're from outer space or from some kind of demon realm, but they are not of this. They're not of this earth.
Well, they
Squids terrify
also
me.
are looking for, like, the giant squid. They haven't found it. Like,
Yeah,
it
it's been eating motherfuckers. That's why.
they are definitely still looking for the giant squid. I'm not sure if you would, like, wanna say the giant squid is a cryptid. I feel like you probably could, but I think if you do, it would fit in the same category as being a kraken,
I mean, when you
honestly.
say giant, are we looking at like the size of like an elephant or a giraffe? Or are we looking at something larger than that?
It would probably be maybe just a tiny bit smaller than a blue whale, which is the largest mammal on Earth.
Yeah, that's a cryptid to me. Honestly, I feel like whales are cryptids. Anything that large is got like when you're approaching damn near kaiju status, yeah, bro, you got to be a cryptid in my opinion. But again, I know that's not the official term, way to classify them. But anything
Yeah,
that big to
I
me that
mean,
lives is like you gotta be not of this planet.
but you also got a pretty good glimpse of the Kraken during Clash of the Titans when Zeus called for it.
I never even I forgot all about how the Clash of the
Release the
Titans
Kraken.
is always the Kraken. That's another one. I think did you watch the live action Clash of the Titans from like I think the early
The
2010s maybe?
70s, the
Not
one
70s
with
one, the more recent one.
yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, where the Kraken that's probably the most terrifying version of a Kraken I've ever seen. Where this motherfucker had
Yeah,
like
that's the one I was talking about
biceps.
because I don't remember, like, I think in the one from, like, the 70s or 80s, whichever one it was, where she got attacked. I don't remember if it was a kraken or not, but whatever it was that she got attacked by, and they did like that claymation shit. That was like, wow, that's
I
really bad.
believe it was a Kraken, but I thought it was puppeted, right? I thought it was a puppet, I thought.
Puppet, claymate, whatever the hell it was terrible. It's just like, all
Yeah.
right.
The CGI version of that thing, or because it's been a minute, but I'm pretty sure it had like like biceps damn near. Like,
Damn near,
it
yeah.
was more like humanoid than anything else. And I'm like, that would terrify me more than anything else. If there's like a giant squid already is terrifying, but the prospect of this thing being like humanoid in like figure, like nigga, you have a bicep? No, 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 no. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. Um, I don't usually have like a legit story about a kraken or stories for y'all, but like this was one I just had to get like off my chest in regards to my fear of the ocean and the many things that lie beneath the surface of the ocean. And the
So
kraken
you
is
would
probably at the
never
top of the
get in
list.
the ocean at all?
No, if I can help it, no. Maybe going to I thought about going on a little cruise, but that cruise cannot be like across continents. Like it'd be one of those things where like off of Mexico, we like kind of just circle the Gulf
Mm,
a little bit and we come back around like far enough to where I can get on a little boat and fucking paddle my way back to shore. Yeah, maybe. But as far as me going through like the Bermuda Triangle or like traveling
I
the
don't think
the
any cruise
islands,
ships go through the
I don't whatever it
triangle.
is, whatever any long distance sailing, no, bro. I'll just play Assassin's Creed 4. I'm cool. I'll play Black Flag. I'm not doing that shit.
It's really funny because, and I'll be, like, in relation to mine, but, um, when it comes to, like, the job that I'll be doing, which is going to be in the water, because it's my aquatic veterinary medicine, and while they did not say formally that if an octopus or a squid were in my vicinity and they were injured, that I would have to, like, render aid, I'm just like, "Do I want to?"
No, no, you don't. You know what's even crazier about this? You know what's
Uh,
even crazier about the Kraken? This is crazy about the Kraken to me. Out of all the mythological creatures in the ocean, usually they have some sort of ability. Like, you got sirens that can have a siren song. You have some creatures that control the weather. The
mhm.
Kraken is just big as fuck. Like it's it's claim to fame is just being big and aggressive. Like it can just like
Yeah.
smack the fuck out. I think the only thing that it does that's seems maybe semi supernatural from my knowledge from lore is when it dives into the ocean, it can create like a whirlpool that can capsize ships.
Mhm. Mhm.
But again, that's just off the muscle. This thing is just strong as fuck. This thing, you got a Shaquille O'Neal of cryptids here, just like fucking people up and and being terrifying with no supernatural ability outside of just being strong and big as hell.
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
I mean, and then like I feel like it also has like those regenerative properties because they set its arms on fire and burned a couple of them, and then it just had more arms. Like it seemed like it had more arms than it was supposed to, and I'm like, didn't you just burn those?
No, no, he really
It's
spat like a
Wolverine too.
Namekian. Nah, bro. I
It's
can't do it.
Wolverine too. Like, what are we? What are we
Bro,
doing?
just imagine looking over the side of a boat and you just see demon eyes
An
of a
eyeball.
fucking no,
An
no.
eyeball.
I can't. Never in my
That
life will I
is
do that shit. I
hilarious
would
and
have to
so
end my own
funny.
life in that moment. Like I would not risk trying to fight back or survive a Kraken attack. I gotta end it. I gotta end it. I'm gonna however I can end it somehow. I'm gonna end it. I'm not dying like that. I'm not going out like that.
Oh my god. That is
But
really so funny.
that's all I have in regards to my cryptid. I didn't want to take up too much time with too many of them, but the Kraken is one where I'm just like, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. I may have to put the Kraken in one of my comics at some point in the future when I do a horror comic or maybe like a monster comic. I may do a Kraken of some sort.
Mhm. Well, since we're staying in the water,
Do we have to?
I have yes, I have, 2. One, everybody knows. Well, actually, both of them everybody knows. But this one gets talked about so much. Again, it's attributed to the fact that we really have not explored nearly half of the ocean. So, of course, the rumors will always fly for the Megalodon shark.
Hey man, if Jason Statham can kill that motherfucker, I don't want. I ain't scared of that motherfucker.
So, it's said that it's supposed to be about 50 to 54 feet long, but the longest would have been 60. Imagine 60 feet of shark and teeth. And it was about living from like 15.9 to 2.6 million years ago in the Cenozoic era. So that's where we had like the mammoths and the cave lions, etc.
Mhm.
around the tectonic plate, like when the tectonic plates were still moving around and shit. So um they do acknowledge the fact that the megalodon shark existed. They don't acknowledge the fact that it could still exist, which
It's like a
I think is a
species.
huge error on their part because again, we can't get down to the Mariana Trench. They've tried. They've sent several robots. Actually, um, there was a lab that built one to withstand the pressure down there, and it was able to withstand the pressure, but it couldn't see shit.
Yeah, it's pitch black.
So, like, there was no point, and then it ended up getting destroyed by something. They don't know what, right? So when it comes to the megalodon shark, one of the things I really appreciate about like them acknowledging the existence prior to, even though they tried to deny the existence being current, they do have enough information about it to run like simulations and things like that. So during Shark Week a couple of years ago, they actually did a megalodon shark versus the great white. And I do believe the great white out of the tests that they had run, I do believe the great white shark actually ended up winning that simulation.
How?
I think it, I Honestly, it was like I think it was like a group of them because, it's just the one Megalodon,
Oh,
and I think it was 3. It was the female leader and then her two children. And they did a bunch of different tests. A lot of the tests that they were doing required the person to go down into a cage with meat so that they could lure the great white shark so that they could run their test and do their measurements. But I do believe at the end of it, because the megalodon shark is so huge that it's fast, of course, but because the great white is much smaller and they are able to work as a team, they were able to they were able to win that simulation. Um
it's getting less and less intimidating as you read more about this thing. I ain't gonna lie. You got stomped out. You supposed to be the Meg. You big Meg.
I mean, but the thing is that, and what they were pointing out is that it has, the bite pressure. So of course, I think one of them ended up getting eaten, but because the mother was so smart, like it was like a bait thing so that they could jump him.
Right.
But like it has the bite pressure and it has speed, but it doesn't have like good mobility. So they were able to outmaneuver it because they're not that big.
I mean, I guess. My,
I would have to go back and watch it, but I do believe that the Great Whites won that one, and I was actually very surprised. I did not in any way. It was like watching fucking Deadliest Warrior. I did not in any way, shape, or form think that the Great Whites were coming out of that fight at all. Thought they were all gonna die. Um, It being part of, like, the Meg, and then, like, it being, the Mega Shark versus series where it's, like, the main villain against another massive creature, like, I think one of them is, like, the Crocosaurus or some
the
shit.
Crocosaurus.
Uh, and it's really only recognized now by the teeth. I do still think that the Megalodon exists. Saying that it doesn't is insane to me, especially when you ain't gonna find it nowhere. Y'all don't look. Y'all do not use your eyes to look for things.
My thing that I'd be so curious to know though is like how were they sustaining themselves? Obviously, when you're that big of a creature, you have to have a food source to make sure you can operate. Not even just like physically, but like you're in like your body to operate, to digest food, to move, to do all that good stuff. And I'm like, bro, is there enough fish in
But
the
they also
ocean to
eat
satiate that?
whales because they eat whales because they're so big.
Damn, shit, boy. RIP, my man. The whales can catch a break, bro. Whales just be out here living their best life, chilling.
No, hell no, because first of all, orcas are fucking
Well,
murderers,
I'm not talking
okay?
about killer whales. I'm talking about like
Orcas are fucking
I'm
psychos.
talking about like the pearls from SpongeBob type of whales, man. The ones that be chilling. They be out there.
Um, they like, they eat whales. I guess I would say they probably eat sperm whales. 'Cause sperm whales are pretty big. They eat other sharks. They eat I mean, I would imagine that they eat fish because fish are available, but let's say because we haven't been able to get down there, we can't see shit. Let's say that it's adjusted all of these years to the Mariana Trench. There's plenty down there for it to eat.
I mean, do we know that though? Have you never been down there?
We can't say that we don't know it.
What if the Mariana Trench is just like this conspiracy captain coming out here? What if it's just like a portal to another world? Or like you seen the Godzilla versus Kong movie. Like what if it's like a portal to Middle Earth or like center Earth? Like
I
once we hit
mean,
the
even
bottom
if
of the
it
trench, you
was,
just
there's
teleported.
like okay, so if it teleports to another dimension or another world, would it not still have food?
I mean, the other world would, but not the trench itself. I feel like the trench would just be like a road.
I mean, but let's say that we roll with that. They're swimming back and forth between portals. just doing shit at this point because can't nobody get down there. So it doesn't have anything interrupting what it's doing. So it's just going back and forth through stuff.
I mean, they be bored, man. They be like, man, we having too much fun down here. Let's go fuck with them people real quick. Yo, Kraken, what you doing? You trying to get some shit cracking up there real quick? Hey, man, yeah.
Let's go do something real fast.
There's one dude, Davy Jones, was talking
Um,
shit. So I said, let's go right out on him real quick.
I'm crying. I honestly think like saying something doesn't exist simply because you haven't seen it yet is insane to me.
Hey, man, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
True. I'm just like, like that's what when people say, "Oh," or when they did that whole entire argument. So like, have you seen that mermaid documentary?
I have not. This is on Hulu.
Okay, so there's two. So and it's the same people. So there was a mermaid documentary that came out um I want to say while I was still in college. It was a while ago, but it was like Mermaid Found or some shit like that. Anyway, they did that and they were basically talking about how um they had spotted mermaids and things like that, and they put out this footage where it was inside of a government facility. It was somebody walking around with a camera inside of a government facility, and there was a tank in a room that was just filled with water, and there was a singular glass window on the tank. It's very small, it's circular, and a finned hand like showed up on the glass, scared the person, and they left. Right, then they were talking about how they went underwater in this mini sub that they had created, and there was some shit swimming around. A hand popped up on like the window of it, and they were just like they saw like a body and everything like that. So of course people are like, oh, this is fake, that's CGI, da, 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 da. And they were like, okay, cool, we got you. They put out a second documentary of this same thing talking about mermaids,
Mhm.
and they had a circus pamphlet, and like you watched the guy open the circus pamphlet, and it was these two kids who had tails. And they have like the mermaid syndrome or whatever, where your legs and feet are fused together, but
Yeah.
this was not that, because they were fused all the way up to like their stomach.
Mm.
And it was very, very odd, and they had that, plus they had, like, something else going on and something else like, it was like a freak show, essentially. It was a freak show circus.
Now, are these mermaids like the stereotypical media mermaids where they just look like beautiful people up top, or are these like the tradition, like the Lovecraftian mermaids where they look like
Lovecraftian, and things was ugly.
yeah.
Like, and they went on with, like, all of this other evidence, and people were just like, "Oh, I don't believe you, da, 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 da." Alright, so we're going with the fact that y'all still don't believe that mermaids exist. Okay. And they showed like a cell phone video of what looked to be a mermaid on a rock, and people started screaming at it, and whatever it was freaked out and jumped back into the water.
I would too.
Okay, whatever you say, if you're saying that it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. But for everybody to be fighting amongst each other about whether or not mermaids exist, and then turn around and go, I still think that the megalodon shark is down there. Is it not possible for mermaids to also be down there? Maybe they don't wanna be upstairs. Maybe they wanna be downstairs. Left alone.
Nah, bro.
I'm
It's
just saying.
this. They
There's
they
too
d-
much unexplored things to say, with the absolute certainty that something doesn't exist.
and they need
If
to
a
remain unexplored. They need to remain that
if
way.
if a narwhal can have a horn on its face, why can't the unicorn exist?
There is some things we don't need the answer to, and these are one of them. We don't ever need to know what's at the bottom of the trench, because once we find out and we know that like Godzilla or Mothra are down there chilling, like no, because at that point now we're in they were now we're terrified, because now we
Oh
have to
my
walk on eggshells. If we
god.
piss them off, who gonna stop them? Not
You?
us. Shit. Who? You?
You.
The letter is really like I do admire that letter. The show is interesting. You know, Netflix is a hell of a program. 'Cause I know damn well you're not talking about me. I
They're gonna be
damn
like,
well.
we need Captain Diesel.
Who? We? I ain't French. We don't need shit. We don't need anything. They ain't gonna
My
find me.
my second one is my favorite. So I know a lot of y'all have heard of the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh god.
What do you think about the Loch Ness Monster? What do you think?
You know, I feel like my extent of the Loch Ness Monster is like Scooby that one animated Scooby Doo movie.
And the Loch Ness.
As well as a few like it always the Loch Ness Monster to me always looks like some kind of like dragon seal almost. It feels like it's like this big cuddly
Mhm.
thing with this long dragon like neck. I'm like, yeah, the Loch Ness
Mhm.
Monster seems like it'd be more nice than anything else because I think to my knowledge to it like more so predominantly resides in like lakes, right? More so than like the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Loch Ness Monster is a lake monster. They call her a mythical creature.
Nessie.
I don't. But she is known as Nessie. Nessie is my girl, and she's usually found like in the Scottish Highlands. And she's described often as a long necked, large with a long neck and one or two shut up humps shooting from the water. So everybody of course is just like, oh, that's not real, it's the same with the mermaid root is
hmm
essentially the way that they took it. So we had several sightings that people just like want to say are a hoax. So we have a guy named D. Mackenzie in 1871 or 1872 that said that they had thought they saw something that looked like a log that was kind of just or an upturned boat, and it was floating around, and when he like went to check out what it was, it disappeared really fast, and he was never able to like find it. It was just ripples. um
She's just a wee bit Scottish, you know. She doesn't want to. She's not for the photo ops, man. Just let her be.
right. Then we had Alexander McDonald in 1888, who said that he sighted a large stubby-legged animal surfacing from the loch and going about 50 yards before just completely disappearing. And they were like, oh, it was a salamander.
Salamander.
I would have been like, I've seen those. They are not that fucking big. Because how are you going to tell me about my goddamn eyes? Then we have Aldi McKay in 1933, who said they saw a whale like fish with a long neck. And of course, they were like, no. I'm like, are you okay? Because y'all keep doing a lot about, telling me about what I saw. We had George Spicer also in 1933, who said him and his wife saw a most extraordinary animal cross the road in front of their car and got into the water. They said that, she was about 4 feet high
Mhm.
and then 25 feet long, had a really long, wavy, narrow neck, slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk that was about 10 to 12 feet long.
You tell me you the
They
same height
didn't
as the Loch
see.
Ness?
Hmm?
You tell me you the same height as the Loch Ness?
Yeah, we're the same height.
That's crazy.
And they didn't see any limbs, and it kind of just like crawled into the water. And people, of course, were like, no. And I was just sitting here like, again, how the fuck are you going to tell me?
It's so interesting because I feel like every depiction I've seen of the Loch Ness monster has been like this kaiju like figure. It being like 4 feet tall never occurred to me that it was a possibility. Now y'all scared of this thing?
But she seems like she's just so sweet. And so then we had in 1933 again we had a guy named Hugh Gray who had taken a photograph of what would be considered the Loch Ness monster because he had taken his dog for a walk and they think that it's actually his dog playing fetch with a stick. I'm like, y'all are going through a lot of lengths here to try to
Jesus.
disprove the Loch Ness monster's existence. And then we have a motorcyclist. His name is Arthur Grant in 1934, who claims that he had nearly hit the creature at the like northeast end of the loch about 1 a.m. And he drew a picture of what he almost hit, and that's like it had a small head attached to a long neck, and had and he said it looked like a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. And
A
that's
what?
very a plesiosaur.
Okay. All right. You got it.
Shut up. Shut
Plesiosaur is
up.
crazy.
That's what the hell it's
What the hell
called.
is a plesiosaur?
A plesiosaur is one that has a long neck.
Hey, send me her number.
That's insane. A long neck and fucking teeth.
Hey, what's Shannon Sharp say? That ain't no problem.
You're you
That
I
ain't no
hate
problem.
you. I hate you so much. But that's awfully specific, especially when you're getting the same description over the years and then someone goes it was a mix between a seal because it's supposed to be about 4 feet and so you have a seal so it's got a short stubby body with a long neck like a plesiosaur. Who the fuck just comes out and is like, I know what a plesiosaur is in 1934 as a motorcyclist? And y'all are sitting here like, "Oh, no. I don't think that's what you saw." What do you mean?
I'm so interested to see like how accurate all this big elaborate game of telephone has been in regards to what it originally looked like. Because I feel like it may have been like the size of a salamander, but then over the years, people are just like made up new things as like you're like probably like to tell kids like, "Hey, stay out of the lake, or you're gonna run into Nessie," and they'd be like, "What the fuck is Nessie?" Well, let me tell you.
Yeah. And then we had, the surgeon's photograph in 1934, which is, probably the clearest photograph where it's, like her head and her neck are sticking out of the water. Um,
Like I've seen that picture
which
before.
they which they are like, "Oh, that's not real, it's a hoax." And I'm just like, "Did he drown an elephant? What are we doing?" Um, but they said it was a piece of wood. Sure, sure. You know, whatever you say. Um, whatever you say. But continuously throughout the years, the the image hasn't changed. And it's always like the same description. And then again, for somebody in 1934 who is just like this random motorcyclist to like just literally say seal and a plesiosaur, that's so oddly specific to me. And I'm just like, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I feel like it's very odd too, because you would think over years, like descriptions of something would change depending on who's telling the
Hmm.
story. So the fact it's got passed down orally in so many different ways. I said not in so many different ways. Orally in like the one way. Of and the description of it didn't change drastically. Again, this is like a big game of telephone you're playing here. And it's really interesting that the description stayed the same for the most part.
And then like in 2021, which is probably the last one, 2021, there was drone footage. Um, and they had reported off of the drone footage that a 20-foot long creature they captured like it on live stream
Oh, Shady done
near the
grew.
loch.
She done grew. She got a
And
little.
I
She been eating her
said,
oats and the Wheaties.
and then I'm just like, she hasn't changed. And I think one of the things is like when you don't want to bring like a bunch of attention to an area, um, because it's going to end up destroying the area with like the extra tourism, and people don't want to come to Scotland to see Scotland for what it is. They want to come see it for the Loch Ness Monster. You know what I'm saying? So like then you
Speak
have
for
to be like,
yourself.
oh, it's not true. It's a lie. That's
I'm
not
going
real.
I'm going to Scotland for the kilts and the haggis. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, but there are people who want it. There are people who want to see Scotland for Scotland. But like, if something like this were to be proven to be true, there's absolutely no denying that people would be booking flights to Scotland so they could go to the loch so they can see Nessie, and that's literally all they came for.
America, one thing, well, not America, but world, the last thing you got to worry about from Catherine Diesel is me traveling anywhere to see a large body of water. Fuck no. Fuck no.
with
If you don't give me this
with the
kilt and
hopes
these
of seeing
bagpipes to
Nessie,
let me
bro.
get busy.
I honestly I love stuff like this because it kind of just like opens those doors for different conversations. And what I love the most about this in particular is I am actually using Nessie in my book series. I had
You
to,
wanna elaborate?
my girl. So it's called, well, the first book out of the 4 is called Salt Blood. Nessie does make an appearance in there several, but it's a dark fantasy slash little bit of horror in there about a girl who is a vampire mermaid. And she's lost memory from 3 years before the story is taking place. And if she finds out what happened to her 3 years prior, it would literally set into motion a hellstorm of things, which it does. So, but Nessie actually plays a really, really important role through all 4 books. I do have her in more of a serpent-like role, and she does have like a clan, so it's like the clan of the Loch, where there were Loch Ness monsters before her in particular. But again, she plays a really, really important role in all 4 books. So reading more about her, and then of course I did like the Scooby Doo and the Loch Ness Monster movie.
Mhm.
Is fun for me. Fun for me.
So you made your version of Nessie look more like a basilisk, I guess?
Yeah, she's got but she stays in human form most of the time, and her actual serpent body stays inside of like this hollow area under the citadel that they live in. So it's still a lock type situation.
Jesus. Anything
But
else you
she's
wanna go
fun.
over?
She's a fun character. She's a fun character in there. No, I really just I wanted to talk about I wanted to bring cryptids. I definitely want to bring cryptids back later on at some point because there are so many. Um but no, I didn't have anything else. Did you have anything else?
Be on the lookout for a lot of the things that I have coming on my individual YouTube channel in regards to video essays slash documentaries, as well as a your boy's first fully written, fully produced comic book is on the way within the next few months here. So you guys can be on the lookout for that. It is titled Reaper, and it shall be glorious. Um, but no, this is
Yay.
a great episode for me as well. I had fun. I feel like we get to let our hair down a little bit with this episode. I feel like not having as
Yes.
many stories to like backtrack and do research on. Like a lot of this information is information that we kind of already I feel like had from
Mhm.
seeing these things or hearing about these things growing up. As well as I did like a little bit of research here and there before we
Mhm.
started the episode. But again, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. Again, people, you will never catch me in the ocean, and that is all. Fuck the ocean, fuck the Kraken, fuck the Meg, fuck
Oh
Nessie.
my god.
That is all.
Don't be mean to Nessie. Nessie is so sweet.
Shit.
But, yes, be on the lookout for his things. You already know, my stuff is just comic book things. So as long as the comic book is interesting, you will hear about it from me. And then Salt Blood does come out on July 4th. I'm so excited.
Mm,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for people to read it.
I'm excited. Getting that author's copy,
So,
right?
yes, your
Mm-hmm.
signed author's copy.
You damn skippy.
Oh, but that is it. Thank you guys for joining us here at Ghastly Gospels, where the mind fractures first. And we'll see you guys next time.
That one could have been better. That one could have
Whatever.
been better. All right, y'all. Peace.